Hello everyone, I'm Heather Dawson, and it's a pleasure bringing you the best of California every week on our show. And this week, we shine the light on the central coast of California, where you can find the beautiful Cliffs Resort. Conchetta DeLuca shows us why this spotlight staycation makes our best of California list.
Beaches, mountains, charming towns, famous vineyards, San Luis Obispo County has it all. Located between San Francisco and Los Angeles, this is the place to savor the best of the Central Coast California lifestyle. And when it comes to taking it all in, one of the best places to stay and play is the Cliffs Resort in Pismo Beach.
The Cliffs Resort is a place to come and sort of see and be seen. It's fun. It sort of reminds me almost like the coast of Hawaii. The cliffs are sort of carved out. You come as you are. It brings all walks of life. The Cliffs Resort is a melting pot where everybody can come and enjoy happy hour or have dinner and get a panoramic view of the ocean, get kissed by the sun and blown by the wind. So it's a great spot.
With 150 rooms, oceanfront suites, pool, spa, beaches, direct shuttle service to downtown, and other 5-star amenities, the Cliffs is a one-stop shop for fun and relaxation.
After a long day working up an appetite, indulging in all the best that the Cliffs Resort has to offer, there's only one place to dine.
Marisol. With a to-die-for view of the Pacific, tranquil ambiance, and resort-like atmosphere, Marisol certainly draws in the crowds. But what keeps them coming back for more is the fresh, organic, locally influenced menu that reflects the region's commitment to farm-to-table and vine-to-glass wine and food.
With a farmer's market almost every day here in San Luis Obispo County, it's easy to find locally produced vegetables, meat, fish, and we try to keep things as seasonal as possible, develop good relationships with farmers, ranchers, fishermen, and it just makes it easy for us, once you have and develop the relationship, to get the product in constantly.
It's this commitment to supporting SLO County farmers and purveyors that made Sunset Magazine choose Chef Wengard to participate with other hot local chefs at their 3rd annual Sunset Savor the Central Coast. The famous Santa Margarita Ranch will play host to this gastronome gala that will feature celebrity chefs like Food Network's Artie Sequeira of Artie Party and Ted Allen of Chopped. Guests can take part in culinary adventures and taste the best of more than 100 wineries, 10 local breweries, and 30-plus chefs. And Chef Wengard will lead a team of culinary masters who will be preparing an internationally inspired menu at the Sunset International Wine Competition Grand Tasting and Dinner, premiering this year in Pismo Beach.
I'm really excited to be part of the International Wine Competition at Pismo Beach. There's going to be a reception that's going to take place at first. A lot of the wineries and winemakers will be pouring and tasting their different wines. A lot of the chefs for the reception will be making dishes specifically for different varieties of the wines. Then after the reception, there'll be a formal sit-down dinner that will be coursed out with different chefs preparing a course for each.
Sunset Savor the Central Coast is a wonderful way to savor everything about the region in one stop, from its wine and food and clam bakes on the beach to farm tours and gardening tips. The event runs September 27th through the 30th. Ticket prices are available at SavorsCentralCoast.com. And while you're in town, don't miss some of the great attractions here, such as Hearst Castle, Morro Bay Natural History Museum, San Luis Obispo Mission, Atascadero Zoo, golf courses, theaters, art galleries, and of course, more than 200 renowned wineries of Paso Robles and Edna Valley. Bringing you the best of California from Pismo Beach, I'm Conchetta DeLuca with California Life.
We've all experienced the telltale signs: runny nose, cough, fever, aches, and pains. It's the flu, and it's not fun.
It knocks you out, you feel yucky, you're in the bed. It can even put you in the hospital.
The flu, short for influenza, is a highly infectious respiratory disease. Even healthy people can get sick and spread it to others.
The way that the virus is transmitted is through droplets. So coughing, sneezing, touching something, and then picking it up after that person has touched it. That's how it's transmitted.
There are some basic things you can do to protect yourself, like
washing your hands, and washing your hands. I can't stress that enough. But also keeping your immune system nice and strong by eating right, exercising, and getting enough sleep.
But medical professionals agree your best line of defense is the flu shot.
It is really important for everyone across the ages and stages to get the flu vaccine.
The Centers for Disease Control recommends everyone 6 months of age and older get a flu vaccine every season.
You get it every single year because the flu strains that emerge every year can be different. Every year the vaccine is different. We look at strains that are emerging in the previous years and we want to add that into the upcoming flu season's vaccine to make sure that you're completely covered for everything that's out there.
Seasonal flu activity can begin as early as October and usually reaches its peak between December and February. The CDC says it's best to get the vaccine sooner rather than later so you're protected.
What most people don't know is that it takes 2 weeks for the flu shot to work. So from day 1 to 2 weeks later, you are still vulnerable. You can still get sick from the flu if you're around people who are sick, if you already were exposed to it and coming down with it, you can still get sick.
But doctors say you can't get sick from the vaccine itself.
People ask me all the time and say the same thing. I know someone who got the flu after getting the flu shot, which is not true. The flu shot contains an inactivated or a dead virus that cannot cause the flu.
And with the variety of options available, there's really no excuse not to get the shot.
You have a high dose option for the elderly, you have preservative-free options, you also have a cell-based option for patients with certain allergies. So talk to your healthcare provider to see which option is best for you.
For more information on flu season and the flu vaccine, go to healthywomen.org. Bringing you the best of California, I'm Audra Stafford for California Live.
And still to come here on California Live, a bad home appraisal can make buying and selling even harder in tough economic times. Mortgage specialist Gloria Schulman joins us in studio for advice on ways to protect yourself from economic pitfalls. Then blame it on Memphis. Audra Stafford takes us to the smash Broadway musical when California Life continues to bring you the best of California. Stay with us. With historically low rates and constant news on the Housing Authority, mortgage specialist and founder of Suntech Capital of Beverly Hills, Gloria Schulman, offers advice on avoiding a bad home appraisal and overcoming strict bank requirements on income and credit. She joins us now in studio. So nice to have you here, Gloria.
Thank you so much.
And this is always a hot topic, whether you're at a dinner party or you're talking business in California, we all want to talk about real estate. Do you find that in all your years of experience?
Oh, heavens, yes. At all markets, that's the buzz topic at cocktail parties.
And you were saying that, earlier when we were chatting, that it's definitely important to be educated on this, even if you're not in the market right now.
Yes, I think the self-education concept is extremely important at all price points, all geographic areas. And what that means is a matter of knowing what properties are available, what has sold. You don't necessarily have to know all the specifics, but just have a general overview of which streets are the most desirable, which streets might back up to commercial, what the schools are, what the traffic flow is, and what's the overall community like, where can I walk to, and things of that nature, which are so important.
And I know recently we saw a big change in the way appraisals are done, and that came all the way, nationwide.
Federal law.
How important is your appraisal?
An appraisal is crucial. In the past, the concept was a ready, willing buyer paying X price, so therefore the value was established. However, because of the new appraisal laws that started approximately 2 years ago, there's an independent appraiser that goes out, validates the comparables, and sometimes there is subjectivity with the analysis of the appraiser. So this is very important, which real estate agents, of course, will share with one.
Another obstacle that I know I had firsthand, my husband and I are both self-employed, the approval rate.
You've identified a major problem in the industry today. It's very important that one deals with a qualified mortgage broker. Be prepared to share your life via tax returns with this particular person. And what will be accomplished is analyzing your returns. As an example, depreciation can be added back. Sometimes one expense, sometimes not always, can be added back to the adjusted gross income, which is the bottom line on the tax returns. And that most certainly determines what the qualifying is. And it is definitely much more complicated for self-employed, such as yourself and myself.
As far as I've heard a lot of people say, this is like free money. The interest rates are so low. And How do you feel about that?
Yes, we're at their lifetime lows. However, it's much easier tying in with what you said earlier if one is a W-2 individual. Now, a W-2 does not mean that one's own corporation is issuing a W-2. It's talking about a salaried position.
And is there something that you'd like to point out, just maybe a common mistake that you see people make?
Once again, it ties in with the word self-educating that you and I were discussing earlier. It's very important to know that 500 can buy approximately this amount of a property, and 1 million can buy this amount of a property, and not delude oneself as to that which one can afford. And yes, we can make this payment of $3,000, but where does the food come from? So one can give analogies of that nature at all price points. And that ties in with the original adjustable mortgages that people had that were deferred interest loans was the proper term. What that meant very simply was that some people said, oh, I'm paying 1% interest, so therefore I can buy a house for X amount because I can afford that, not realizing that that 1% was a false rate. It was a temporary rate, and that the real rate was significantly more, which they couldn't afford. So therefore, did they really need that house that was more than their budget would allocate?
And again, it goes with having somebody that's trustworthy, that's been in the business for a long time. And if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out to you, we're going to have your website and all the information out there, as well as on our blog. And Gloria, thank you so much for joining us on California Life.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And coming up next, we've got the best of entertainment with Audra Stafford, who takes us to Memphis. Plus, if you're old enough to remember Trigger, you'll want to stick around for our next California profile on one of the most beloved cowboys in Hollywood history. Stay with us. I had the honor of interviewing legendary cowboy Roy Rogers and his beloved wife Dale Evans shortly before he passed away. Now let's take a look back at this amazing California couple with David Wiley.
For years, the names Roy Rogers and Dale Evans have been synonymous with the high desert town of Apple Valley. While many of their celebrity contemporaries were living in glamorous places like Beverly Hills, the King of the Cowboys and the Queen of the West made rural Apple Valley their home for more than 30 years.
We like the heritage that Roy and Dale took and brought to this community, the Western type heritage, and what we have going on with that.
The Rogers first came to Apple Valley in the 1950s at the invitation of developers Bud Westland and Newt Bass. Soon they had opened the Roy Rogers Apple Valley Inn, which attracted many A-list celebrities of the time, including Tony Curtis, Lucille Ball, and John Wayne. In fact, Bob Hope once described the inn as a place of pure joy and untroubled happiness. In the mid-1960s, the Rogers finally moved to Apple Valley permanently and opened the Roy Rogers Museum. The museum is long gone, but the familiar fort-like building is still there today. Roy and Dale quickly became part of the community, with many residents having fond memories of the Rogers.
Well, I went to a church where Roy and Dale went to church, the Church of the Valley. My first recollection of Roy and Dale is when we were in a small chapel. I sat down and he sat down next to me, and I was 7 years old. This is the guy I watched on TV every Saturday. And so we stood up to sing one of the hymns, and he put his arm around me, and we sang that hymn together, and that's how he was. I mean, as you grow up here, you saw them all that time.
In fact, over time, seeing Roy and Dale throughout town became more and more common.
There was a time when Roy would ride his motorcycle around if somebody new moved into town and stop and chat with them and welcome them. It's kind of like the welcome wagon, you know. And I can remember as an adult running into Dale in the grocery store with her hair all up in curlers, pushing her grocery cart through. I mean, they're just part of this town, you know. And it was just an amazing thing to have these celebrities in your town that were so well known, and yet they acted just like everybody else.
I even had an opportunity to meet Roy and Dale back in the 1990s and found them to be bigger than life, yet down to earth. Even today, driving through Apple Valley, you'll notice that there are streets named for Roy and Dale, while Highway 18 through the middle of town has been renamed Happy Trails Highway. But the Rogers didn't just live in Apple Valley, they contributed as well, establishing the Happy Trails Foundation to work with troubled youth. The foundation is still in Apple Valley, and many celebrities still participate in its annual golf tournament. And Dale Evans was instrumental in helping build a chapel at the Sunset Memorial Park in Apple Valley that bears the name of her and Roy.
Shortly after the passing of Roy, she came back at me and said, "Chet, I want to build a chapel in memory of Roy's name." And I said, "Well, I can't really do that for just him. I have to do it for you as well." So we met several times and started drawing plans and started playing with it. So she got to see some of the preliminary stuff before she passed, but she came up with some great ideas on doing things here, and she wanted to celebrate life.
And the celebrations of life that Dale loves so much continue in that chapel just a short distance from where she and Roy are buried, a place that is still visited by hundreds of fans every year. And while they've been gone for a number of years, the impact of Roy Rogers and Dale Evans in Apple Valley is still evident today.
They were very special people, and certainly great role models. You know, you just wish today that there were role models like Roy and Dale for young people, and there should be again.
In Apple Valley, I'm David Wiley for Southern California Life.
After a hugely successful run on Broadway that earned it 4 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, Memphis is back in California where it all began.
And if you listen to the beat and hear what's in your soul, you'll never let anyone steal your rock and roll.
Set in 1950s Memphis and inspired by actual events, Memphis tells the story of forbidden love between a white radio DJ named Huey and a black club singer named Felicia. Thanks to the incredible music, choreography, and everything else about it, Memphis earned 4 Tony Awards in 2010 and landed in the top 100 longest-running Broadway musicals of all time. But long before it made its way to New York, in 2008, Memphis was playing to sold-out audiences at the La Jolla Playhouse in San Diego. And when the show returned to San Diego on tour,
even before the first number, you could hear the audience and feel their response.
Southern California native Will Mann made his Broadway debut in Memphis in 2011 as Bobby Dupree.
He's the janitor in the radio station that Huey first works at, and they quickly bond a friendship, and he later follows Huey onto his television show.
Aside from his Broadway debut, Mann says his most memorable moment with the show so far is when the tour launched in Memphis.
It was nuts. Like, after our opening night party, a lot of us went to Beale Street and just walked, you know, and like hung out in those bars where people like created the sound and this music and this culture.
Memphis knows me, Memphis shows me how this life just has to be.
It's really cool, and we ate more than like should ever be humanly possible. We ate so much in Memphis.
Luckily, they had no problem working it all off.
Memphis is just a good energy.
And though the story takes place more than a half-century ago, its message still rings true today.
A lot of what we talk about in the show is very funny and very happy, but the serious moments deal with equality and deal with love. Old people, young people, all races, from all different backgrounds, they relate to this story.
Bringing you the best of entertainment, I'm Audra Stafford for California Life.
And that's it for us. If you missed any part of our show, go to our website, californialifehd.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We'll see you next time.